to my professional development workshop video by Jen Stone. I decided to do my professional development workshop video on an activity for first graders who are learning about the plant life cycle. First, before I go into the activity, I'd like to talk about the standards that it addresses. It's a science lesson, so we'll have science standards, ELA standards, and English language proficiency standards. Our science standard falls under Life Sciences 1, Structure and Function. All organisms have external parts. Different animals use their body parts in different ways to see, hear, grasp objects, protect themselves, move from place to place, and seek, find, and take in food, water, and air. Plants also have different parts: roots, stems, leaves, flowers, fruits that help them survive and grow. The ELA Reading Informational Text Standards is ask and answer questions about key details in a text, and identify the main topic and retell key details of a text. The ELA Writing Standard is write narratives in which they recount two or more appropriately sequenced events, include some details regarding what happened, use temporal words to signal event order, and provide some sense of closure. The ELA Speaking and Listening Standards are participate in collaborative conversations with diverse partners about grade 1 topics and texts with peers and adults in small and larger groups. A. Follow agreed upon rules for discussions. B. Build on others' talk in conversations by responding to the comments of others through multiple exchanges. C. Ask questions to clear up any confusion about the topics and texts under discussion. And also ask and answer questions about key details in a text read aloud or information presented orally or through other media. The ELP standards it addresses fall under Listening and Speaking. Standard 1, the student will listen actively. Responding to read alouds by identifying main ideas and supporting details in complete sentences. Sequencing a series of events from information shared in read alouds, presentations, and conversations using pictures and keywords. Following multiple step directions for classroom and other activities. Standard 2, the student will express orally his or her own thinking and ideas, asking and responding to academic questions using complete sentences with instructional support. The Writing ELP standard is Standard 1. The student will express his or her thinking and ideas of informational text using keywords and phrases with instructional support, completing a written summary of the key events or ideas of informational text using keywords and phrases with instructional support. Our objectives for this lesson or this activity will be: we will be able to identify the stages of a plant's life cycle by reading as seed grows and completing our own seed journal. The language objective will be: we will be able to discuss the stages of the plant's life cycle by talking to and working with our table teams. Now, let's look at our activity. Well, hello! Thank you for joining me today as I talk to you about my professional development workshop activity. I have chosen to read a book called A Seed Grows and apply it to a science lesson for first graders. You've heard my standards, all of them, and my objectives. So now let's talk a little bit about the activity. So I got this book off the Reading A to Z website, and it is an awesome resource for any teacher because it offers so many leveled readers that cater to, fiction, nonfiction, biographies, anything you're learning about. Chances are you can find a book on that website. And again, they're all leveled, hence the name leveled reader. So they go from double A, I think, which is like pre-kindergarten, all the way, I think, high school. So this is a level G reader, which falls in first grade, and it talks about the life cycle. I think it's a great activity for ELLs because there's a lot of really good pictures in here, and the students can color it. They'll each have their own copy, and then while I'm reading it, it'll also be displayed on the smart board. So they can, and they'll have their own copy to follow along. And so just to give you a little idea of the book, so a seed grows. A small seed falls to the ground and becomes buried in the soft soil. So I mean, you can see the seed falling, and then here's the soil. The seed is buried in the soft soil, and the rain falls. So you can see the rain is falling. The rain soaks into the soil that holds the small seed. You can see how the rain is soaking into the soil, going down towards the seed. The small seed soaks up the water from the rain. The water helps the seed, and roots grow down deep into the soil. And it just goes on and on. While I'm reading this, it will be projected on the smart board, and I'll stop and talk about key vocabulary words, and also use the total physical reaction strategy that is really helpful for ELLs, because you're basically acting out the words. So like when the seed falls, I'll kind of fall. When the rain comes down, I'll make an action like that for the rain coming down. When the seed starts to grow, the flower actually starts to grow, I'll crouch down and then I'll grow, and then like go like this for the leaves and the flower blooming. So that's a really good strategy to use with ELLs, because it really gives them you're acting out the word that you're telling them, so it really helps them learn those vocabulary words. After we read the book, what we're going to do is, as a class, I have this worksheet right here, and it has roots, leaves, stems, and flowers, the four main parts of a flower. So we're going to, or a plant rather, so we're going to, as a class, work on this. Kids are going to cut this out, and then they can color this too. But we're going to work on this together as a class. And then the students are going to move to this worksheet, which goes through the 6 main parts of the plant's life cycle. All the pictures are down here, and they'll cut these out. We'll do parts 1 and 2 as a class together, as a scaffolding. And then I want the students to do parts 3 and 6 with their table teams. And that's really important that they work together as a team, because it allows the ELL student can sit there and listen to their table partners, and if they feel comfortable, they can take part in the conversation, but they can use their table partners to help them with the activity. If they have a question, they can just ask their neighbor, as opposed to maybe raising their hand, which can intimidate them sometimes. And also, they're not asking a question in front of the whole entire class. They get to have that interaction and that collaborative learning with their table team, which is a very good strategy in any classroom really, but especially with ELLs. So they'll work on this as a we do, and they'll work on this with their table teams. And then to end the activity, they'll work on this right here, which is my seed journal by, and they'll put their name and date, they'll put the date. What they'll do is they'll use their worksheet that they did as a table, and they will work on their own journal. So they'll draw their own picture of what step 1 looks like, and maybe write a short sentence. If they can write it in complete sentences, that would be awesome, because that's the standard that I put in the activity. But I'll just encourage them to try their best. And then they'll draw a picture representing step 2. Again, write a sentence. Step 3, write a sentence. Step 4, and step 5. So what they'll do is they'll cut this out, and they'll staple the little book together, and then they'll have their own little book or journal of the cycle that a plant goes through to become a flower. This is a really good lesson, and I'm sorry if I've said this already, I forgot. It's a really good lesson for ELLs because there are so many pictures. It's very visual for them. As I'm reading the story aloud, I'm going to stop and point out keywords and verbs, and also act them out using that total physical response strategy. They get to work with their group members, which helps them. And then we'll just build on this activity in the future as we dive further into the life cycle of a plant. And that is my activity. Thank you.